In the past 3 years, Texas A&M has averaged $148 million in revenue, the highest in the country. This is $15 million in front of the runner-up, Texas University. This makes Texas A&M the most valuable football program in the country. To put into perspective how important Texas A&M football is for the Aggie community, the athletic department received $260 million in contributions during the 2016-2017 season. This is the most in the country by far. $119 million of those contributions were allocated just to the football team. We should feel proud to be Texas Aggie football fans, as they have brought joy to every one of us. But in order for us to keep enjoying the performances of our football team, we need to hold the safety of our players to the highest degree. Football is a beautiful but dangerous sport. Aside from the conventional injuries, there is one that haunts every football program in the nation: heat illness. Every football season begins during the hot summers, and players are put at risk of extreme heat illness because they are going through strenuous exercises while wearing insulated equipment. In the period between 1980 and 2009, 58 fatal injuries to football players due to extreme heat illness were recorded in the United States. Extreme heat illness encompasses heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. The effects of these can be fatal. A recent high-profile accident at the University of Maryland brought the danger of high core body temperatures back to the mainstream media's attention. Sophomore lineman Jordan McNair was hospitalized after suffering an exertional heat stroke on May 29, 2018. McNair succumbed to his injuries 15 days later. So this is where we come in. Using the technical skills we have learned in the industrial engineering curriculum, we plan on making headway and increasing the safety of every football player out there, because we know that heat illness is completely preventable. Our team started doing extensive research on heat illness, cases of heat illness, and current measures and preventable methods that were being done. We set up a meeting with our sponsor to discuss the current methods being used to maintain the player's core body temperature. We also discussed the project as a whole and ensured that we understood the objective of this project. Our team visited multiple football practices and observed the operations of practice and the operations of the water staff. The practice consisted of 2 main fields. Fans were placed in the middle of the fields. Water stations were placed throughout both fields. On average, there were 10 to 12 water staff members per practice. Water staff was assigned to each of the 4 main drills. We noticed that the water staff all utilized the centermost water station to refill their equipment. We put our creative minds to work and used our previous ideas to narrow it down to 4 main design alternatives. We pitched these design alternatives to our sponsor and had him fill out our decision matrix. These 4 main designs consisted of a backpack water sprayer, a water bottle ice filling tray, an athlete cooling harness, and a portico fan duct and diffuser. This is a CAD drawing of the water bottle ice filling tray. It would allow ice to only go into the holes where water bottles were placed. This would significantly decrease the amount of time it takes to refill the water bottles. This is a CAD drawing of the portico fan duct and diffuser. The idea behind this was to use the current fans on the field and distribute the air across more players.
So after going to the football practices, talking to Kevin, coming up with the criteria, and doing the analysis that we got helped on from Dr. Mehta, we were able to analyze all 4 of the solutions that we had come up with, and we decided to go with a backpack sprayer. One of the reasons that we decided to go with a backpack sprayer is obviously because it had the highest score on the decision matrix. Second reason that we decided to go with it is because we already knew that the football team had a similar device that we could improve. What they had was a cumbersome fertilizer sprayer, which they had to manually pump and could only be used for 5 minutes during practice. What we figured out is that if we came up with a backpack that was electrically powered and they could actually carry their water on their back, we could increase the amount of time that they could be cooling down these football players. The third reason that we decided to go with this one is that we were able to implement what we have learned through our curriculum, which is process improvement. We were able to improve the process and increase the amount of time that the water boys would be able to cool down the football players. from a short 5 minutes to pretty much the whole practice. We'll visually demonstrate how this is possible.
During practice, there was one 5-minute break where most of the players centralized in the middle of the field. As you can see in the visual, the players were forced to cram in the middle of the field. During this time, the water staff sprayed ice water with a rudimentary device on optimal cooling locations such as the neck and armpits. By equipping the water staff with the backpack sprayer, we can bring cooling methods to the drills and increase the available time to cool the players. As you can see, the cooling stations are now embedded within the drills and the players are not forced to cram in the middle to be cooled down. We met with our sponsor to discuss the equipment available to do this project. Because of funding constraints, we were limited to only use equipment already owned by the team. The equipment included a nozzle connected to a rubber hose, a camelback pouch to hold the ice water, an electric motor with a 12-volt battery, and a backpack to hold all the equipment.
We got the prototype to work. Now, moving forward, the 3 main things that we want to focus on is, first, creation of an actual device. This prototype, although we got it to work, it has not been determined to be ergonomically safe, and we do not want to create other problems by implementing something that could potentially cause other injuries. So we got to create something that can actually be used. Second thing we need to do is test our device. I know that we said that we would increase the amount of time that football players would be cooled down from 5 minutes to potentially the whole practice. So now we got to put it to test. How easy is it going to be to refill this device? How much time is that going to take? These are a lot of questions that we need to answer, and we would need to test this in the actual football field. The third thing that we need to do going forward is look at those tests, analyze those tests, see how we can improve the device, see how we can make it more ergonomic, easier to fill up, basically just keep improving that device. But because of the reason that we know that we could equip the water boys and reach out to the football players much faster and for a longer period of time, we know that this idea was our best option in the hope of reducing their body temperature by spraying them down with the cold water.